Before we jump in today's video, I just want to remind everybody that I'm not a financial advisor. So this video is for educational and entertainment purposes only and should not be taken as financial, investment, or trading advice. All investments involve risk, and you should do your own research or consult with a licensed financial professional before making any investment decisions. Just remember, past performance is not indicative of future results.
Hey everybody, it's Paul here on my channel, Better Call Paul, and today we have a really exciting Battle Royale. It's a little bit of a twist on my usual Battle Royale video because today we are keeping this battle within one fund manager. So today we have two funds from Evolve, and the reason why I picked these two funds is because they're very, very similar in that they both hold Canadian financials. So today we're going against we're lining up the veteran bank versus the newcomer, the rookie, which is SIXY. But you know, bank is kind of like the old tried and true ETF that's been performing for years now, and SIXY is kind of like his bigger, stronger, meaner younger brother who is now trying to take over. So we're going to take a look at these two funds and I'll explain exactly what I mean and we'll see who's currently winning. All right, so let's jump into the two funds very quickly for anybody who's not very familiar with them. Okay, so the first one is simply bank. Oh, sorry, SIXY. Sorry, we're starting off with SIXY. Evolve Big Six Canadian Banks Ultra Yield Index ETF. All right, so high monthly income on Canada's big six banks with ultra yield. So you can see over here, we got TD Bank, we got National Bank of Canada, RBC, CIBC, Scotiabank, and BMO. All right, so Evolve's SIXY is going up against Evolve's Bank. And actually, the reason why I did them in this order is because I just wanted to show you the difference between the two in terms of the portfolio holdings. So this is Evolve's Canadian Banks and Lifeco's Enhanced Yield Index Fund. So the difference, for those of you who don't know, is that this one doesn't just hold the six big banks like National Bank of Canada, CIBC, but it also holds Great West Lifeco. All right, it also holds the Power Corp of Canada. It holds Sun Life Financial, and it holds Manulife. So I mean, you know, not a big difference between 6 to 10 stocks. They're both very highly concentrated, but at least in this one, you're getting banks and life insurance companies. All right, so even though these two ETFs are both from Evolve, there is quite a bit of differences. So starting with the fact that bank does have the 10 holdings versus 6, right? So I've already spoken about that, but just to reiterate, right? SIXY has the 6 banks and bank has the 6 banks plus 4 other companies, 3 life insurance companies and the Power Corp of Canada. You can see that bank came out in February of 2022 versus SIXY just coming out December 1st of 2025. The launch price, if this matters to anybody, you can see the launch price for bank was $10, but they've decided to do SIXY at $25. Now, current price, you can see that bank is down a little bit at $9.55, but I know that a lot of people in the last few years were picking up bank when it was down around $7, $8 a share, when the financials in Canada were not doing as well. So for a lot of people, their bank position is actually up quite a bit. Now, I guess if you had bought it back, you know, in 2022, you'd still be down in share price. Whereas right now, SIXY launched at $25 and it launched at a good time and the banks are up. So it's at $26.09 currently. Big difference in assets under management, of course, because bank's been around a long time and SIXY just launched. This is huge for a Canadian fund. To have 937 million in assets is pretty big in Canada. So the strategy, Evolve's website lists bank as having an index-based active covered call strategy, and they list SIXY as having an index-based covered call strategy. They don't say it's active, but anyways, just probably very similar. Just that was the only difference I could find, that they have listed differently in their websites, or on their websites. So here's a big difference, right? So the max write level. So how much of the portfolio are they going to write options on? And this matters quite a bit. So for bank, they're going to write up to 33%, meaning that the remainder can grow with the market, right? So the problem with covered call ETFs is always the capped upside. So this limits the capped upside, right? It provides for more upside potential. Whereas with SIXY, they're writing on 50% of the portfolio. So they're being more aggressive, right? They're being more aggressive because they want to generate more income. Leverage wise, you can see also bank has kind of that traditional Canadian 25%, whereas SIXY, they decided to go to 33%. Okay. And again, this is to squeeze more juice out of it and pay out higher incomes. Management fee is identical. Distribution is 12 cents for bank and 21 cents for SIXY. But also notice that the distribution frequency, so bank is paying you that 12 cents on a monthly basis, and SIXY is paying you the 21 cents 2 times a month. Now, you can't just take a look at that and say, oh, well, look at how much more it's paying. You have to keep in mind the fact that, it only costs $9.55 right now for a share of bank versus $26. So there's a little bit more to the math. But anyways, I did calculate it out. And so right now, if you were to buy bank, you'd be getting a 15% yield, which is fantastic. And from SIXY, you're going to be getting a 19% yield. So I guess the question is, do you want to trade off more yield for a little bit less upside potential? And we'll have to see how these two funds do over a longer period of time. But for right now, the risk rating on bank is medium to high. And you would think that banks are pretty safe. So why is it a medium high risk? But you have to realize they're using leverage, so that increases the risk. And it's also very concentrated into one sector. For SIXY, I would say it's not hard to see why it's high. They're using more leverage. It has even less holdings. They're writing on more of the portfolio, so it's definitely a little bit higher risk than bank is. Okay, let's jump into this ETF comparison tool and take a look and see. So I just set it for 1 year because SIXY's only been out since December, so we're only going back to December of 2025. And I put it on total drip because both of them pay out distributions, and we can compare the two pretty equally this way. So anyways, taking a look at it, you can see that since December, bank is up 7.83%, and SIXY is up just a little bit more at 9%. Now, keep in mind that if the share price of banks start to go down because of the higher leverage, there is a chance that SIXY will probably drop faster than bank will. So you just have to expect those higher fluctuations in the share price. All right, guys. So for myself, I did own bank. Of course, it's been around a lot longer than SIXY, so I've held bank for quite some time. And when it started to do really well, I decided to realize some gains and move the money into Canny, which is just another Evolve ETF. But instead of just holding banks, it holds banks and it holds energy and utilities, right? It's got a variety of Canadian stock. But I then decided to sell my Canny and put that into Easy, right? Because Easy holds Canny, Biggie, and Inty. So even more diversified. So that's the route that I took. At the moment, I'm not currently holding bank or SIXY. I think that if the financial market or the financial sector in Canada was to ever see a cooling off period, where the share price of banks comes down significantly, and all of a sudden you see bank under $9, maybe under $8 a share, and SIXY drops down quite significantly, then I might look to start adding to those positions. Maybe pick one of the two and build it up and do the same thing. Once hold it for a couple of years, and then once banks skyrocket again, I could look to realize some gains, or just hold on to it. I haven't decided yet. But anyways, I'm very curious. What are you guys doing? Have you held your bank position? Did you sell it and buy SIXY, or are you holding both? All right, guys. As you can see, I'm wearing my Blossom t-shirt today. I haven't talked about Blossom in a while. If you're new to the channel, I'll put a link in the comments below. Check out Blossom. It's a free app. It's fantastic. I've had a lot of people message me telling me that they'd never heard of Blossom until they watched one of my videos. So I'm always trying to help people find platforms that will help them with their financial journey. All right, guys. So until my next video, hope you all have a great day, and bye for now.